Hey everyone, what's going on? So today, we've got the engine out of my 1979 Ford here. Um, this is a 4.9 liter straight six engine. Uh, I guess back in that day they would have called it the 300 cubic inch. Later on, same engine became known as the 4.9 liter. Um, so you can You can see this engine is not complete. The head is currently sitting on the bench right behind the camera here, and I've got the rest of the engine here with me, and the engine's been out of the truck for a couple months now, and I've just been brainstorming, dreaming, thinking, trying to figure out what on earth to do for the engine for this truck. Do I repair this engine? Do I rebuild this engine? Or do I just replace it entirely? And I don't know. I'm not really sure what to do right now. Um, this engine, for sentimental reasons, I'd like to keep it in the truck. It's the original engine for the truck, and I had it out about 8 years ago, maybe 5 years ago actually. Painted it all up, the old Ford blue, did a bunch of work to it. Mostly it's just seals and stuff, nothing internal. But the reason I took it out is because I had a head gasket failure. And a couple years ago, I was towing this very shop that I'm sitting in right now back home with the truck, and I had another head gasket failure. And I fixed them both times, had the head checked, magnafluxed, flattened out for warps, good to go. And just this fall, I had another head gasket failure for no apparent reason. It's burning coolant, and I was just kind of at my wit's end, and I don't have a shop to pull the truck into, and I wanted to be able to drive it this coming summer. So I said, oh man, I'm gonna have to take the engine out again. So here we are. Like I said, the head's behind you there, and I'm trying to figure out what to do. Been a little bit discouraging, to be honest, because I just want to be able to drive this truck and enjoy it. And so, as I've been pondering over what to do with the engine, that's the thought that keeps coming back to my mind, is that I just want to be able to drive the truck and enjoy it. And so, as I ponder about what to do for an engine, I've been trying to keep that as a guiding factor in my mind. It's so easy to be tempted to just do it the cheapest way, or do it the fastest way, or the combination of the both. But in the end, am I really going to be happy with that? 2 years down the road, 10 years down the road. So the other part of it is I want to learn something. And I was thinking that, I could just grab a 4.9 liter out of a 1990s, they're fuel injected, same engine, same mounts. I've already got the exhaust manifolds off of a 4.9 liter set up on the head for this one, so the exhaust would bolt up. All those things. It'd be super easy. I'd get my 3G alternator, I'd get a serpentine belt, I'd get better flowing heads right away. All of those things. So, and then I just have to figure out the computer, right? So I could do that, go fuel injected. I could buy a engine out of a 90s and strip off the fuel injected parts and bolt on my carbureted manifold, and just go to town. That would be great. Pretty easy, but then again it involves me buying another engine and just considering this one as junk. Or I could rebuild this. And when I say rebuild, I do mean take it all apart. Last time I had it out, I repaired it. And I've done enough Band-Aid fixes to this poor truck over the last 8 or 9 years that I've owned it that they just added up, and this thing is just a piece of garbage right now. And that's why it had to come out. I just would put a patch on this here and a patch on this there, and just to keep it driving for another summer. And I'm not at a point now where I need to rely on it for transportation. And so I want to be able to just rely on it for fun. And that means tearing it down, putting in some hard work, some hard hours, and putting it back together in a way that I'm going to be happy with. Just taking it to work for the day. I drive around southern and central Ontario quite often in the summertime for work, so maybe if it's a nice day, I just want to take the old truck. Or maybe my wife and I want to just take it to the cottage for the weekend or something. So I want to be able to count on it to take me those places and not even think about the engine and if we're going to make it and if I'm running out of coolant. So I am in the process of trying to figure out what to do. I'll show you a couple things with this engine that make me concerned about it. Definitely why it needs a rebuild, not just a repair. And then I'm honestly looking for opinions, feedback, suggestions, thoughts on how I can take this, maybe this one, or do I take the EFI version? Yeah, let me know in the comments what you're thinking. So let's jump into this engine and see kind of the rough condition without getting out any measuring tools or anything. Okay, so as we come up to the engine here, looks pretty sad right now. First thing you can see, oil leaks everywhere. So clearly I need an entire new seal set on this engine. That's fine, not a big deal. I need to fix this. This had rusted through on this. I guess this would be the push rod cover, and you can see some pitting in the paint here. And I just put some JB weld on it when I had it out last time, and you can see the oils leak through the JB weld. So more permanent repair on the push rod cover. I want to do, if I keep this engine, I need to do a conversion over to a one-piece oil pan gasket instead of the four-piece that came standard on this truck. It's just dirty mostly on this side, nothing too bad. Never had any issues with the fuel pump or fuel pressure. You can see this belt is horridly chewed up, and that is because the pulley on the alternator is bent. Right here, bent pulley on the alternator, and I would like to run a more modern alternator. The 3G alternator off the 4.9 Fords, they're an easy swap over onto the 300 Fords, and I would like to run that. And I've even considered swapping over to an entire serpentine belt setup. So as I think about that, I think, why would I not just start with a 4.9 engine? And I already have all of the proper pulleys on the front of it. You know? This side of the engine, considerably less oil leaks, but what you do see, all this black carbon soot here, is exhaust leaks. I've had a horrible time trying to seal up the exhaust because I'm using the EFI manifolds, and these heads are the carbureted head is missing two holes one for the rear manifold and one for the front manifold that would be used to align the pins. Carbureted had a one-piece log-style exhaust manifold that ran across all 6 cylinders, and so it has a mounting pin on the front and one on the back, and that was perfect to align it. But on the EFI version, it's 2 separate manifolds. One handles the back 3 cylinders, one handles the front 3. And the issue we get with that is that, yes, we have a pin on the front to line it up, and we have a pin on the back to line it up, but that means that these sides in here in the middle, they don't have any pins. And so there's some suggestions on what to do for overcoming that on your carbureted head. You can make some retainer clips and that kind of thing, but I just hadn't invested time into that yet. So this is a challenge I can overcome, but it's not one that I have overcome yet. So I'd have to sort that out. Whereas if I just bought an EFI head and dropped it on this engine, I would be able to bolt on those manifolds, no problem. Or if I just got a 4.9 liter engine block, it would take the manifolds, no problem. You can see inside the pistons, we got, it's hard to tell on this one. There's a lot of carbon, obviously, but here we go. It's just flaking off of there. And I don't know how much of that is due to the fact that this thing didn't run a lot before I pulled the engine out, and so it probably, never warmed up and burned off the carbon, and it had a leaking head, so obviously it's not getting great combustion. But that's a fact. You can see there's just a lot of rust developing on the cylinder walls here. I'll grab a rag and cover it with some oil, but it's starting to just pit a bit, so that's not great. And then inside you can see that the block's all rusty inside, and I did a bad thing. I was in a pinch and I needed to put some coolant in here, and all I had was tap water, and our water's super hard here, and obviously rusted the entire insides of the block because I didn't use deionized, and I said to myself, I'm gonna change this out tomorrow, so it won't be a problem. And then like 4 months later, I got around to changing it out. So the head over here is also just entirely full of rust inside. So both head and block, if I'm going to reuse them, they're going to need a complete cleaning. And honestly, I think I just have a machine shop check them for cracks and check the bores maybe for roundness, or learn how to do that myself, and basically get a baseline on this engine before I decide to rebuild it. So yeah, that's kind of a few things wrong with the engine here. Nothing really to report on the back, except I have a nice leaking rear shaft, rear main seal. Not too many accessories on the front of this engine, so there's not really anything to talk about. The power steering runs off of this pulley, and I need a new pump like crazy. I've had no luck with the rebuilt pumps. They just are all awful and they whine horribly. And then my timing cover bolts keep loosening up. I don't know if they're maybe oily. The Loctite's not working on them, but that's another thing to figure out. Anyways, yeah, right now I'm in the process of trying to decide, am I going to rebuild this engine, or am I going to get a 4.9 liter and put that in my truck and hope that this engine's 40 years old, a 4.9 liters only, that this fuel inject is only going to be 20 years old. So, you know, what's better, like fixing this one brand new, or just putting a 20-year-old engine in the truck, and getting my serpentine belt, my 3G alternator, a head that accepts the exhaust manifolds easily, all those sorts of things. So that's where I'm at. Please, I welcome your input, suggestions, comments, any questions even. Let me know. I want to decide what to do with this thing, and I think I'm going to take a bit of time to think about it more before I make a decision. Thanks for watching, and have a really great day.